1974, Serna versus Portales. This was a class action lawsuit filed by a group of Mexican-American families against the Portales school system. Children with Spanish last names were not getting the same educational right to an education. Student Judy Serna's parents took to the stand and fought for the Mexican-American students' rights to an equal opportunity education on Judy's behalf. This was significant because this was one of the many cases that ignited unfair education standards for children who were not native English speakers. The case was settled in favor of the Serna family, and this ended up getting better for the students and changes were made. The Portales School District was ordered to hire staff of Mexican-American descent. The curriculum was changed to include a bilingual system, and this case was one of the catalysts that changed the way ESL was implemented. Before this case, there were many Mexican-American students that felt the need to drop out of school because they felt they could not succeed as they continued through the grades. A big portion of the school had Spanish surnames, which meant most of them could benefit from the bilingual help. And since a lot of the school was based on the English language, it was harder for a lot of these students to really understand what was going on. Some issues were psychologists thought that the students could face long-term problems when they were in an unfamiliar English-speaking setting. So the Portales School District did not give the students the benefit of the ESL program, which violated the statutory and constitutional rights of the 14th Amendment and the Civil Rights Act of 1965. This could be viewed as different forms of oppression. It could be ideological oppression because the students were made out to be incompetent, unintelligent, and inferior to other students who spoke English as their main language. This could also be seen as institutional oppression because the educational system was letting these students down and setting them up to fail. They were not given the help they needed in school when their English skills were not as good as others. This also caused internalized oppression because after a while these students started to feel the way the Portales School District made them out to be. This led to a higher dropout rate and more students struggled as they continued their education. This case involved mostly Mexican-American students as well as Indian students. Basically a lot of the students that didn't have English as their first language. This case is another example of institutional oppression, and it makes me wonder how long this was going on before someone spoke up and said something. It was significant because it helped make change and benefit, and it ended up benefiting the students. It shows that when people come together, they can make a change when they stand together for a common goal. Looking back from when I learned about history growing up, it feels very against America's motto of everyone being born equal under God. And things like this very much contradict this ideology. My discussion question is if you guys think that if these families didn't stand up for their children, if there would still be some change. Me personally, I believe these families needed to speak up to make a difference. I don't think the school district saw anything wrong with how they were teaching these kids until all these families came together. And I think sometimes issues need to be brought to light for there to be a change for the better. If one person stands up and says something, there might be change, but I believe that a group of people would have a bigger impact than just one person on their own.